Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nicole Sanders. I'm the Industry Education Manager here at the Illinois Liquor Control Commission. Today, we are doing a webinar on special event licenses and special use permits. I have today Dushanka Marian and Tara Womack, who is on the line from Springfield. They will answer your questions. I don't know if you've been on these webinars with us before, but very easy. Go ahead and put your questions in the chat. I will read them to Tara and Dushanka, and they will answer them. So I'm going to go ahead and go on mute now. And as you have questions, Dushanka, take it over from here. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I just want to thank all of the attendees today for joining us for this webinar. Illinois, most of you may know this, but Illinois is a dual license state. So if you're having an event and you will be selling alcohol at this event, you will need both a local liquor license and a state of Illinois liquor license. So that's very important to note if you are having an event. Also, we started really in 2023, we're really encouraging our licensees to apply via their MyTax Illinois account. We have some additional step-by-step instructions on our website under the special event tab on our homepage that you may find very helpful. One of the main issues, concerns that we've seen is getting the user access first. So we gave you, so on our instruction page, you will see the first page gives you some contact information for the Illinois Department of Revenue, where you can contact them if you're having issues getting your user ID and password. But there's so many benefits to applying via MyTax. Most importantly, it's the efficiency and the timeliness of submitting these applications so we can review them, rather quickly on our end. Also, there's a cost factor. So if you're a special use applicant, that is someone that has a bar or restaurant or is currently licensed, has a liquor license, you can, the cost is is lower. For example, if it's a one-day event, if you do it via MyTax, it's $100. If you do it in person or via mail or via email, it's $150. So you're saving $50 there. Also, if the event is more than one day, the cost is $150 if you apply via MyTax compared to $250. So there's $100 savings there. Also, it's also helps with late fees submitting via MyTax. So our goal today was to really kind of just make sure that we are here to answer any questions you may have regarding the process, and most importantly, continue to encourage our special event applicants to apply via MyTax.
Well, we're going to open the floor for questions. So if you have some, please throw them in the chat and I will read them out to Dushanka or Tara, and they will answer them.
So while we're waiting, I have one more update. July 1st of this year, our license certificate for those of you that have had special events in the past and have received a certificate from us, you will notice that the actual certificate format has changed a little bit. In the right corner, we have a state seal. We also moved the QR code from the left portion of the license certificate to the right portion. And then we move the license number to the left. So you'll notice the format. Anyone that received a liquor license after July 1st will see that the format changed a little bit. So I just want to give you a quick update on the actual license certificate. You may see that it looks a little different, but those were changes that we made on our end.
Okay, Dushanka, I have a few questions for you. The first question is, I will provide the link for the MyTax, so I'll put that in the chat in a second. The second question is just required for actually selling, but not for doing a tasting of store. So I guess the question is the special permit only for selling, or can you also use it for tastings at the store?
So a special tastings and samplings can be done at a licensed premise location. So if you're already licensed, we have Rule 100.285 that is available on our website under our legal tab, Divisions and Legal, and you will see the requirements for tastings and samplings. And one of the key components to it is the tastings and samplings can be done at a licensed premise location. So if the location's already licensed, no additional, in most cases, no additional licensing is required. We get that question a lot where applicants want to do a tasting or sampling at another location that's not licensed. Absolutely, you will need a liquor license for that location. So one of the questions is if an organization has multiple events, such as like park districts, can they submit one application? It's 1 application, you can put 15 days. They don't have to be consecutive. They could be calendar days, as long as it's the same themed event. So you cannot put 30 days on one application. What you could do is put 15 days on one application and 15 days on another application. But it's very important to note that it must be the same themed event. You cannot do a 4th of July event and a Memorial Day event, holiday event on the same application. Those are two different themes. Farmers Market is a great example. You can do one application, and we get this a lot, for the first 15 days, 15 Thursdays, let's say it runs through the fall. You can do, multiple applications, but 15 days is the limit per application. You may just have to submit additional applications.
Okay, Deshanka. The next question is, what do we tell people who have mobile bartending businesses? Do they need a particular liquor license or do they need the approval from the city or town where they are serving?
Okay, so mobile bartending, there's two different ways to look at this. Currently, if you're a licensed retailer, that is, you're a bar, restaurant, and you want to be able to sell alcohol at different locations, you would be required to get a special use permit. If you're just an individual and providing a service, you're just providing bartending services, you're not selling the alcohol, the organizer of the event or the citizen is hired you just for bartending services. We don't have a liquor license that we issue just for bartending services. So if you're just a regular individual and you want to sell alcohol, you cannot do that unless you're a non-for-profit organization or a current licensed retailer or have retail privileges here in the state of Illinois.
Thank you, Deshanka. The next question is, we own a bar in Macomb County, Decatur. If we are hosting an event in Springfield, can we apply for the city's special event license through the MyTax portal?
I'm going to have Tara, our manager in Springfield, handle that one. Thanks, Tara.
Yep, this is Tara Womack with the licensing division here in the Springfield office. In regards to the location of the event is going to be where, so yes, if you have a bar in Macon County, Decatur, and are coming over to Springfield to host an event over here, you would need to contact the city of Springfield, get a temporary license from them, along with a certificate of insurance with that specific date and location. And yes, you can file your temporary permit through the MyTax portal if you have already been established a license in the past. So there are numerous situations where the one license that you have been issued, it can go anywhere. as long as you're approved by the local. We get a lot of questions about, well, this license was issued for my event last year and it was for the fair. But if you are going to have a bingo night, per se, and you have only been issued that one license, that also allows you to use that same license somewhere else. So that one license number is not tied to that one event per that year, per that theme. So we can use it multiple times for different things. So to answer your question, yes, we can issue a liquor license through the MyTax portal as long as you have had one in the past established. I see the next question from Jamie. It says, if at the event there is no payment for drinks, such as an open bar at a wedding, is a special event license needed? No, that is considered a private event, and we do not license private events. This is going to be an invitation-only situation where the license is not needed. Now, if the host is off-premise or has a liquor license already and that municipality requires them to get a liquor license to go off-site, then yes. So there are different circumstances where weddings might be licensed depending on where the alcohol is coming from. But most of the time, private events, invitation only, are not something that we have jurisdiction over to issue a license. I hope that answers your question, Jamie. David asks, we hold a fireworks display on our property. We want to bring in a trailer with beer that the distributor will take back. Take back what isn't sold. Do I need a special use permit for that? Yes. The special use permit allows you to have host an event off-site where you are taking your retail license for that specific that time and date to host the event. And yes, the special use permit is going to be needed for that event as long as it is off-site and is not on the property of which your retailer liquor license is addressed. Deshaun, could we go to the next one with Josh?
Thank you, Tara. The next question, we have a theater whose license says we can sell drinks 1 hour before shows and during intermissions. What would we need to submit to host an event where we sell liquor on our own premises, but not during those times, before shows or during intermissions? This is definitely something you need to work with your local jurisdiction on. The local municipalities determine the hours of operations for liquor sales. As I mentioned earlier, Illinois is a dual license state. And this is something that you would have to definitely work with your local municipality to see what they would require. And then we have the next question, Kinga Kreider. Going back to the Park District example, does it have to be the same location? Absolutely. Liquor licenses are issued to a location, a premise location. You cannot have numerous locations on one license for different types of events. So definitely you have to have one specific location for the license. The next one is a common question we get from Brian Endel. Do I need a special use permit if I have a catering license for a farmer's market? So I just want to, in regards to a caterer's license, if you're issued a state of Illinois caterer's license, and that would begin with prefix number 1B as in boy, that license does not allow you to just cater alcohol. It's part of a meal package that's agreed upon contract. So you'd have to do food and alcohol. You just can't do the alcohol. And so I just wanted to clarify that portion of it.
I'll take the next one from Greg. Greg, your question, or it says, as a not-for-profit organizer that gets one-day special event licenses for several of our businesses for our annual walk, are we required to get Dram Shop insurance in order to get the one-day special event license? An insurance provider recently questioned this, as we are not selling liquor on the day to anyone, just offering tastings. And also he gave us kudos for being responsive. So you're very welcome, Greg. In regards to the insurance situation, it depends, it goes back to who is the license holder. If your not-for-profit organization is the license holder, yes, insurance is required for each location, for each location during that time. So sometimes we have not-for-profit organizations it's more expensive to get a one-day coverage for the day as far as the liquor liability, but then it might be cheaper for them to carry it all year round and then just let the agent know at that time where they're going to be set up. So that is something you're going to have to work with the insurance company on. But yes, insurance is required, showing liquor liability for the specific location, and the insured has to be the license, the company that applied for the license and was granted the liquor license. The next question is, if you previously licensed, the certificate can be used anywhere within the within Illinois. The license certificate, I'm not sure, Kim, what you are referring to, because the temporary licenses are only based on that specific location and that date. So I'm not sure if you could. Oh, yep, now down further, we said question answered. So there we go. And then Terry, going back to the question you had asked earlier with the separate liquor liability insurance, the minimum coverage, it is on our website. I want to say, I'm looking, so I apologize for looking off screen. It's like, if you have under 300,000 for the coverage, it's the year-long coverage is what we go off of. There's not really a insurance coverage for an event, specific event. Am I right, Deshanka, on that one? It's just a maximum coverage or a minimum coverage straight across the board for Dram Shop liability.
That's correct. And those Dram Shop limits are available on our website.
And I just posted it in the chat too as well. The minimum coverage is $266,814.76. So I know that sounds like an odd amount, but that number is determined by the comptroller's office every year. So we have to update it based on what they send out to us.
And then Julie Morissette has a question. If I'm a bar and I'm doing a wine sampling tasting at a clothing boutique in town, do I need a special use permit? Great question, Julie. And the answer is yes, because the clothing boutique, I'm assuming they don't hold a liquor license. So in order for you to be in compliance with Rule 100.285, you would have to get a license for that specific event. Yes.
Okay, back to Dave's thing about the question about the fireworks display on the golf course. So when you talk to your local municipality and the golf course, so when you're issued the liquor license, does the 1A retail liquor license cover the clubhouse, or does it cover the whole course? So if it covers the whole course, then you do not need a temporary license from us. And we will not issue a license due to the fact that the address is the same. If the locals issued you, it will issue you a temporary license that says 123 Main Street Golf Course or the golf course grounds. It depends on how the locals word it. But if it is specifically for the same address that is listed on your 1A retail liquor license, we will not be able to issue a temporary license for that location, if that helps.
And Beatrice Hines, her next question has to do, she's a special event applicant, excuse me, in the city of Chicago. And the city of Chicago has their own portal as far as applying for applications. So you would continue to use that portal, but for the state of Illinois license, you can use the MyTax portal. So there's two different portals that you're using. And in this example, the event is in the city of Chicago. So you'd continue to apply the same way you do with the city. It's just once you get the city approval and they sign off on your application, then you can submit your state of Illinois liquor license application online via the MyTax portal. And Mr. Ken Duncan, I'm not clear on the answer to Jamie's question regarding serving alcohol off premise, whereas it is an open bar for invite only wedding. If I deliver and provide alcohol to the off-site event and charge the wedding party after the event, is a special event license required. So the definition of a private party is invitation only. The host controls access to the premise and alcohol is given to guests free of charge. There's no money being exchanged between the invitees and the guests, the individuals that are hosting the party and the guests. So we get that question a lot, the gray area of, when do you need a liquor license, when don't you? And if there's no money being exchanged, there's no tickets being sold, it's invitation only, then a liquor license is not required. So hopefully that answers that question. Ken, if you have a follow-up to that, please let us know.
Thank you, Dashanka. The next question, can I sell cider that's less than 7% ABV manufactured by others, but sold by me in my tap room as a Class 3 brewer?
So a Class 3 brewer gives you full retail privileges. That allows you're a brewer that makes your own beer. You have the option to self-distribute your beer to other licensed bars and restaurant, other retailers. You also have full retail privileges. So you could sell the beer you make, you can sell other spirits, you can sell cider, you can sell wine. So the answer to that question is yes.
Perfect. Thank you, Dashanka. The next question is, how does a restaurant bring a few bottles of alcohol from a foreign country for alcohols that are not sold distributed in Illinois? Some Japanese restaurants carry sake that are not imported to the U.S. Some Italian restaurants carry small vineyard wines from Italy that do not have distribution in Illinois.
Sorry, it took me a while to unmute myself. Generally, any product that is sold in the state of Illinois has to be registered. It has to be registered with us. And these restaurants, anyone selling at retail, for example, they have different avenues on where they can buy the product. They can purchase it through a licensed Illinois distributor, or in some cases, they can purchase it through a manufacturer that has self-distribution privileges. Hopefully that answers that question.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, the application mentions a $25 application fee. However, earlier you mentioned a one-day application is $100 if submitted via MyTax. Is there a difference between the two fees? Do you have the fees online?
Kinga, yes, there are two separate types of licenses we're talking about. The special event, which is the license application that is held by a not-for-profit organization, is $25. The $100 is going to be your online fee, and it's for the special use permit, which can only be submitted by a licensed retailer. So yes, there are two different licenses, one special event, which is a not-for-profit organization, and then the special use, which is a current licensed retailer that wants to take their product off-site. And the fees, yes, are online. If you go to our webpage and under applications, there are the two different license class applications available for you.
Thank you, Tara. Next question is a follow-up to Ken's question. So if my wine tasting sampling in the clothing boutique is by invitation only and not open to the public, I do not need a special events license, correct?
I suggest that you review Rule 100.280, giving away of alcohol. You have to make sure you're not giving away alcohol. No one can just give away alcohol for commercial purposes. So if this is a private event and alcohol is not being given away for commercial purposes, Julie, we would like you to review this Rule 100.280, then it's possible. But you really need to make sure that you're in compliance with the private party definition, as well as, most importantly, Rule 100.280 in reference to giving away alcohol. That's very important.
Thank you, Deshanta. All right, next question. As a brew pub, can we transfer our beer to our 4C special events without the use of a distributor?
Yes, you can. Well, as a brew pub, you want to transfer your product only. That's what I'm guessing here. Currently, in order for you to be able to sell your product at another location, you definitely have to have a special use permit. As far as the transfer of other product, generally the distributor can deliver that product to the licensed premise location. And that's going to be very important if you wanted to return product, because we get that question quite a bit on return of product, and it applies to saleable beer. If the beer is delivered to the specific event location, the beer can be returned to the distributor. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I touch base on that, because that's a question we get quite a bit, where we have special use permittees that apply for the license, basically at another location, also to have the ability to, they do ask, can we return any product that we don't sell? If it's purchased from a distributor, it was delivered at that licensed at that event, that does apply. And that is Public Act 101-0016, and that's the return allowances for special use permittee licensees. The next question is, are Class 3 brewers eligible for special use permits? No, they are not. They are eligible for a beer showcase permit, which is available on our website. It is a type of temporary license that a distributor or a Class 3 brewer can obtain. So a Class 3 brewer can obtain a special a beer showcase permit, excuse me. And the time frames are very similar. It's 15 days per application. There's one for a 1-day event, or if you're having an event that is 2 or more days. So Class 3 brewers, please review the beer showcase permit application.
All right, next question. In the instance that an event gets canceled where a permit has already been issued, is there any way to be refunded the permit fee?
I can answer that one. Jamie, the event, so if there's a rain date, so if the event gets canceled and because of rain or a catastrophe in regards to the weather, we can reissue the liquor license to the new event date. If the event is totally canceled, everything you did not use the license, we would require that a request be made, and yes, we can do the refund. However, like I said, if the event is rescheduled, same event, same theme, just on a different date or a different weekend, and it can be 2 weeks, 3 weeks from the original date, yes, we can reissue the license. The fee is for a temporary license through the special events, the 4A, it'll be $12. We would require the locals to give you a new local liquor license with the event date, and you will have to provide us with new insurance for that date. So we'll work with you on refund versus reissue it or reissuance. So that would just be something that we would work with you on if that time came.
Thank you, Tara. Next question from Daniel, follow-up. If the foreign brewer or distiller does not have a distribution channel in the U.S., can I bring a couple of bottles from Japan to serve to the public at a restaurant? The distiller is in Japan, makes a very few traditional bottles, and I want to serve them by glass to the customers.
Yeah, unfortunately, that would not be allowed. Once again, only registered product that goes through the proper channels can be served, tasted, sampled, sold to the general public.
Next question. 100.28, giving away of alcohol. Can you provide additional clarification on what constitutes a commercial purpose?
There's several different things we can take a look at, but we would take a look at the list of the invitees. How large is the list? What else is being given away at the event? There's quite a few factors that we would look at, not just one factor. And if the event holder or somebody is planning on doing something like this and would like to provide their specific business scenario in reference to 100.280, and they can certainly do that and email that information to us. But definitely there's several factors that we look at in reference to commercial purpose, not just one. There's quite a few.
All right, thank you, Dee. Daniel has a follow-up to his question. Is there any way I can get registered? I'm assuming as a...
Yeah, unfortunately, if you're a licensed retailer, you cannot register the product. You cannot be the supplier of the product. You can't be the distributor of the product. It sounded like earlier you mentioned restaurant, that you may be a restaurateur. So no, you would not be able to register the product. You are in the retail tier, so you cannot register the product on behalf of a supplier or on behalf of a distributor as a retailer.
Thank you, Dee. Okay, the next question is, are volunteer bartenders working a special event required to be BASSET certified?
No.
That's a short answer.
Not-for-profit organizations are 4A licensees. A lot of them are volunteers and they do not have to be Bassett certified.
Thank you. Next question. As an off-site caterer, we have a specialty retailer like liquor license. Would there ever really be an instance where we would need a special use license?
So this is a good situation that has come up quite a bit. Now, Amanda, if you currently hold a 1B caterer's liquor license, and that is the only license that you hold, because that license requires you to have prepared meals, you will not be qualified to have a special use permit. If you are a retailer, 1A, and have a 1B caterer's license, you can qualify for a special use permit as long as it is not a catered event. So catering to the Liquor Control Commission is not just alcohol. There are some local municipalities that have liquor licenses where the catering is alcohol only. With us, it is a prepared meal, not popcorn, not potato chips, not peanuts, cheese balls, mince sitting on the table. It is a prepared meal with a set price that the alcohol is included.
Thank you, Tara. Next question from David. Going back to the recent question regarding needing a special event permit for a private party, can this be done by anyone with a liquor license of any type, or must it be a catering liquor license to transport?
So I just wanted to confirm, David, if it's a private party, just to clarify the definition of a private party, it's invitation only. The host controls access to the premises and alcohol is given to guests free of charge. No liquor license is required. So just to clarify that, if it's a private party, a liquor license is not required. If the host has made arrangements with you to have alcohol, they have to purchase it from you, from your location. And then, as far as how it's being transported, that's between you and the host. But the host then is responsible for providing that alcoholic beverage to their invited guests per the private party definition. And then David had a follow-up question. With a special use permit, can liquor also be returned? And you mentioned liquor, you didn't. I'm going to clarify. Beer can be returned, wine and spirits cannot. And that once again is Public Act 101-0016, just to clarify.
Thank you, Dee, for that clarification. All right, we are at the 20-minute mark, so if you have any questions, please go ahead and throw them in the chat.
And also, one of the things while we have a little free moment, special use permits, just to ensure they are for an event that is being held in another location other than your licensed premise location. Once again, a special use permit, not special event, is issued to a licensed retailer or anyone that has a retail license, for example. When you're applying for the license, the purpose of a special use permit is to have an event at another location. So if you're submitting an application and you list the same address as where you're currently licensed, your application will be rejected. If you're having an event and it's in a parking lot outside of your current licensed location, you have to designate parking lot. Let us know what the distinction is so we know that you're already licensed at this current address. And the whole purpose of a special use is to be able to sell alcohol somewhere else. So you have to let us know if it's in the parking lot, if it's out in front of your building, for example, for a special type of event. Please make sure you describe that on your application, as well as that's referenced on your insurance and also on your local approval.
Thanks, Dee. Next question is, can unopened kegs be returned?
And then can I clarify, if it through a special use permit, if you have a special use permit and this is beer kegs, yes, you can return it if you have a special use permit per the Public Act 101-0016.
Thank you, Dee. Next question, is it possible to have 2 retail licenses at the same address?
That depends on the situation. So we look at the retail liquor license, the address, the type, the retail type. So if it's on premise, off premise, or combined, there are quite a few local municipalities who require 2 separate local liquor licenses, one for on premise and one for off premise, meaning they do not issue one combined liquor license. So yes, it is a possibility, but it depends on the scenario of the local jurisdiction. If they are 2 separate businesses and they have the same address, there has to be a designator, a unit, a suite, something. But it all depends on the situation of that address.
Thank you, Tara. Next question, for clarification from the earlier question, as a brew club, are we allowed to bring our beer to our off-premise special event on our own? The 4C is issued to our 1A license. All other liquor sold at this event will be delivered by our distributors.
I think our legal department in the past had allowed this, but we can double check. Basically, you're just asking for permission to be able to sell your beer at another location. The only problem we may run into sometimes is territory issues, for example. So if you're currently licensed at one location and one specific distributor may have the territory rights to that specific area. So if you're going to another venue that's outside that distributor's territory, that's where things can get a little complicated. But Jesse, we can follow up just to confirm with you on that question. Thank you.
Someone asked about the webinars. I just threw it in the chat. You can click on our link tree and it has access to all of our social medias, and the webinars will be available on our YouTube channel by the end of the week, okay? One more question, Deshanka. Can we buy alcohol from out-of-state distributors to sell at a restaurant?
So we have, if you're just referencing out-of-state distributors, the answer is no. We do allow what we have manufacturers. We have wineries, brewers, and distillers out of state that manufacture outside the state of Illinois that may have self-distribution privileges, and they may be able to sell to you directly. We have some out-of-state manufacturers, if they're licensed, if they have the appropriate state of Illinois licenses, they can self-distribute to you directly, but not a out-of-state distributor. So Just to clarify, out-of-state manufacturers, if they qualify for self-distribution, they can self-distribute to Illinois licensed retailers.
Perfect. One more question. I am a off-premise retailer, 1A. Am I eligible for a special permit?
So if your current license only allows you to sell for off-premise sales, that is your current local liquor license and your current state of Illinois liquor license, then there would be an issue there. Because you're currently not licensed to sell for on-premise consumption. You're only licensed on the local level and state level to sell for off-premise consumption.
Thank you. The next question. We are a brewery doing retail in-store sales only, and we are set up with a 3Y and 3C license. We are looking to eventually upgrade to a tap room for on-site consumption. We are due to renew our license now, and I'm thinking I need to change from a Class 1 to a Class 3 brewer. Does that make sense?
Okay, so currently you're licensed as a brewer and a Class 1 brewer, and basically that allows you to sell the product you manufacture, other beers from other Class 1 brewers, and cider, for example. If you want, and you have self-distribution privileges, if you want full retail privileges, that is the ability to sell beer, wine, and spirits, all three, you want, then you can definitely apply for a Class 3 brewer. One of the main differences between a Class 1 brewer and a Class 3 brewer, one of the main differences is full retail privileges. Right now you have limited retail privileges. So if you want full retail privileges, then you can apply for the Class 3 brewer's license. But please note, this is not a license that's issued right away. There's a 45-day posting period required. So it's going to take some time for us to be able to issue that Class 3 brewer's license, for example. And with the Class 3 brewer's license, what you gain is you'll be able to get a beer showcase permit, which is it's a type of special event license, for example. So that is something that if you convert to the Class 3 brewer, you'll be able to get a beer showcase permit, which you currently cannot do under your 3Y license.
Thank you, Deshanka. I do have a question. What is the turnaround time for getting the special events or special use licenses approved?
Okay, well, I think Tara and I, we definitely have had situations where we've received licenses, especially when it comes via MyTax. We received a license application at 4:30 p.m. and the license is issued, by 5 o'clock, for example. We understand emergencies happen, but we really strongly encourage our licensees to really try to get these applications to us 2 weeks in advance. That will, the late fee kicks in after, if it's not received within 14 days prior to, that's calendar days, prior to the start date of the event. And we're willing to work with all of our applicants, in situations where something may have occurred and you weren't aware that you needed the license, or there were some paperwork issues. But I will say, especially if you're submitting it via MyTax, the goal for the staff here and the goal for us here at the Illinois Liquor Control Commission is to try to turn these around within 1 to 7 business days, definitely, if we can.
Thank you, Deshanka. Okay, we have about 10 minutes left. If you have any questions that you just have to have an answer to, please go ahead and submit them now so that we can get as many questions answered as possible on this webinar.
Just while we're waiting, I just wanted to remind everybody, when you go to submit this information to us, make sure everything is consistent. The address, if you have, if it's a rural route and it's not, or if it's just, if it's a park, if it's a city square, we have to make sure there is an address associated with that information. So if the local liquor commission only puts, you know, the city park, well, we don't know where the city park is. You could have 3 parks within the city. We don't know which one. So just make sure that the specific address that is assigned to that area is addressed on the local liquor license and the certificate of insurance. I cannot strongly press that, because there are plenty of times where we get applications back and forth, and it is the address, there's no address, it just says park. So we want to stress that, make sure there is a physical address that is listed on all documents, and it must be consistent to a T.
Thank you for that, Tara. Vince has put a question in chat, and it's a great question. I noticed a lot of municipalities do not offer a temporary license or special event permit. Is there any time that you can have that reviewed by the state to obtain a special event permit? Or if the municipality currently does have one in place? Or is it just what it is?
So Illinois is a dual license state, so we definitely cannot issue a state license to you without local approval. And I'm stating local approval because there's a lot of local approval can be in different formats. It can be an actual license certificate, it could be stamped approval, or it could be a letter from the local liquor commissioner or whoever has jurisdiction in that specific municipality. Usually it is the local liquor commissioner, giving you authority to be able to sell alcohol at this event for the dates and times specified. So once again, Illinois is a dual license state. We cannot give you approval, unfortunately, unless you get local approval from your local jurisdiction. And that could be, you know, a lot of locals have different formats of approval that they give.
And it has to be from the local liquor commissioner, not the city administrator who just signs paperwork, or the alderman of the area. It has to actually come from that local liquor commissioner.
All right, thank you, Tara. The next question is it better to have a local permit before applying for the state permit? I think I can answer that one, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. We cannot grant approval to anything without the local jurisdiction granting approval first. So the steps are local, then the state. So if you don't have approval from the locals yet, then your application, unfortunately, will get turned around to you asking for that local approval. It is a requirement on the application.
Perfect, thank you. All right, I'll give a few more seconds for any last minute questions. If not, we will wrap this up. So,
And
do you
then
have any questions? Go ahead, Dee.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to do some housekeeping here. Any of you on the call today, if you're having events coming up in August, September, take some time to take a look at the special event online application instructions, just to make sure you have your user ID and password set up via your MyTax Illinois account. We give you an email as well as a contact number to call if you're having issues setting that up, but it's never too soon to at least have that portion completed with your user ID and password. The last thing you want to run into is access issues, you know, a week before the event or a couple of days before you're submitting your application, for example. You want to try to get that set up, even if you're waiting for your local approval, even if you don't have your local liquor license now. Start the process via MyTax, getting your account set up with your user ID and password.
And make sure that is only if you've had a license with us in the past. If you have not had a liquor license, or if your event organization has never had a liquor license with us, a 4A has never been issued, a 4B or a 4C, you do have the option still of bringing it to the office, mailing it, or submitting it via email to the licensing email address on the front of the application. But if you've had an event in the past, we strongly encourage the process to go through MyTax, where our staff can issue it via online and have it, you know, ready to you and get it back to you faster.
All right. Thank you, Tara. Thank you, Dashanka, on hosting this webinar today. I hope it was helpful for everyone. If you have any questions, you know, you can always reach out, and both ladies are always helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and end this webinar today. Thank you again, Dashanka and Tara. We really appreciate you guys doing this today.
Everybody.
Thanks for everyone joining. Have a good day.